to, entrepreneurs, whether they're getting started, whether they're already doing 100 million in sales, or whether they're building their third or fourth or fifth business, get in an environment that supports and nurtures your success. It's hard to do the right thing in the wrong environment. It's hard to do the right thing in the wrong environment. And making the right decisions as an entrepreneur is everything. It's everything. And when you're in the right environment, you're going to make right decisions. And those are the decisions that are going to lead to your success. And it really does. You can see that so many times. It comes down to a decision. And when you're in an environment like this, you're going to get good information. You're going to be supported and uplifted. And probably one of the most important things, too, is just to know that it's possible for you. Just to know that it's possible for you. And I'll tell you a story a little bit after I explain this a bit more of where I started. I don't talk about that very much, but I want to tell you guys where I got started way back. It's 25 years ago now. I had nothing. I grew up very, very simple. I started my business with $185. And I ran an ad in Muscle Mag International, Bob Kennedy's magazine. He was the only one that would accept my ad. And I built my business from there. I never borrowed money. I didn't know anything. I couldn't imagine that a bank would loan you money. I don't have anything. Why would it be? So I got started that way, and within the next 10 years, I paid over $120 million in taxes, which is something that I'm very, very happy about. I want to pay more taxes because it means my business is making more money. And I didn't have any special skill. I didn't go to Harvard. I didn't even graduate university. And what I studied didn't have anything to do with business. But I kept an entrepreneurial model that I learned as a kid, and I grew it to this day. I'm still building businesses and still supporting other people that are doing that kind of work. Real quick, what happened to my knees? 25 years of weightlifting, football, skiing, and then carrying on as a 45-year-old, as a 25-year-old, led to my quadricep tendons being ruptured off of the patella tendon. So I had to have those operated on 8 weeks ago, and they said I'd be in a wheelchair for 6 months. So I've been recovering pretty quickly because my body is strong and it knows how to recover from damage. And so it feels good, but it looks a little awkward. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'll show you later how I can dance now and start to perform a little bit. When I went in for surgery, my doctor said, "You're going to be in a wheelchair for 6 months." And I said, "That's perfect." I said, "I wasn't planning on using my legs very much this summer anyway." And he said, "You're lucky you didn't break your neck, because when I did fall, it was just violent." And you really do realize that no matter what happens to you, you can find a grateful perspective. I am lucky that I didn't break my neck. I am lucky I didn't break my back. And I just tore up my knees and I recovered from that. And I learned something from it. I can relate to people who've had these types of injuries more than I could before. And I have more compassion and empathy for what people who really truly are handicapped for a long period of their life go through. Because being in a wheelchair for 6 weeks is a completely different perspective. It really is a completely different perspective. And it's something I'm grateful to have experienced. I'll tell you, it's tough. People treat you different too. People treat you completely differently. Some people don't look at you when you're going through the grocery store in a wheelchair. Some people, want to help, and some people don't know what to do. I did find, though, that all the best discounts on the most healthy food are down here. I got these big old things of oatmeal that I didn't even know were there. I was like, score, man. I got all this good stuff down here I never looked at before. Seriously, I got a video of me going through the grocery store. I found some great stuff down there. But it's something I'm grateful for. I mean, it really was a good experience. The type of transformation that I do, transformation work that I do now, is a little more challenging than just the fitness transformations. I like to work with kind of the more serious cases. And the thing that I get the opportunity to do now is work with kids that are coming back from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and that are severely physically challenged for the rest of their life. And having spent some time, a little bit of time in their position, really helps me relate to them, because we do a lot of work with transformation today, dealing with trauma, with depression, with life crises, and it's a really, really neat opportunity, and it's something that grew out of all the stuff that I did in fitness. And so now I'm able to connect with them, and I'm grateful to God in my understanding of that for the opportunity to help them. But it's been fun, it's been funny at times, but it's very painful too. I mean, it's a very strange experience, but it's all part of, I think, growing and learning. And so for me, I'm grateful. I can be more compassionate to people and more empathetic. Along those lines, where the transformation is going and where the opportunities are for the future of anybody who's involved in fitness, wellness, nutrition, exercise, the markets are huge. Because now we're starting to get this transformation of people that are suffering from things other than overweight and obesity, which is a tremendous market to be working in today, because we've got the next 40 years to get out of the situation that we got into over the last 40 years. And it's a tremendous industry to be in. But we've also got the markets that are coming in that are suffering from depression. There's 212 million prescriptions written last year for antidepressants in America alone. 212 million. 212 million prescriptions, a lot of these for kids. And some of those are multiple prescriptions for the same person, but still during that year. The scientific studies show that exercise, good nutrition, positive mindset, community, working together, being around healthy, positive people is as much of a remedy for that as anything that we know, and so these markets are all coming into this world as well. And I'm out there trying to lead those markets in to try to grow the pie. And so to make everybody's opportunities bigger in this industry. I want to show you a story of somebody who's been through a transformation like that and show you some of the one of the new things I'm doing. It's a clip from our web TV show, which is out in all the new media. We're on iTunes and YouTube, and you can watch our show on your BlackBerry, you can watch your show on your iPhone or your iPad, and all this new media. And that's really where I think the opportunity to reach people is going. So let me show you a little bit of that clip, then I'll talk to you more about where this opportunity started and where I think it's going. So, and then I want to answer some questions from you guys in the last 25 minutes. So here's a clip from one of our shows about somebody who's made a remarkable transformation.
How this guy is changing his body and life.
Can you guys hear that, all right? Can't see it very well, but it's just a short clip.
Hello and welcome. I'm Bill Phillips. You're watching This Week in Transformation. Joining me right here in the studio is our friend Bright Light Clarissa. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited. We have one of my favorite people today, Ron Preacher, to share his story.
Yeah, we do. We have a really great show, you guys, because we're going to bring you one of the most inspiring transformation stories that we've featured yet. And this is a guy who really has come from a long ways. And I think you judge and that you are inspired by people by how far they've come in their journey.
Oh yeah.
And this guy's come a million miles.
He really has. His story is it's so full of heart and soul, and you just see how much he's worked to get where he is. I'm looking forward for everyone here to see his story.
Yeah, and before we do that though, we're going to shine the spotlight on one of our members who's succeeding in the transformation.
Yes. This one I spotted. This is one of our before to after spotlight stories here. This is Flavia. I'll show you Flavia's picture here. Look at that.
Now hold that up there for a second. This is Flavia from London.
She's 32 years old.
And she's one of our viewers.
Yeah, she's one of our viewers here. She is 50 pounds lighter. And I mean, she's done amazing. Again, I seem to sound like a broken record every week, but you look at the beautiful changes everyone's making here, and she's done amazing.
Right.
Congratulations.
Yeah, right. I mean, she's really doing incredible. We show these before and after pictures on the program every week.
Right.
And we're getting all kinds of people from all around the world making these wonderful changes. So anybody can do it.
Absolutely. I mean, again, she's from London. We've got her from all over the world. It's fun to share, that we're touching lives all over the world. It's fun to share those stories.
Okay, now let's talk about somebody who's really come a long way with his transformation. Let's take a look at Ron's before and after pictures again real quick if we've got them. We showed those at the top of the show. This is Ron Preacher from Florida. He has come so far. We're going to learn more about that, and we're going to talk to him a little bit, coming up in a little bit. Right now, let's watch a little video clip of an interview with Ron where he's talking about what his life was like before this, what happened, and how he's doing now. So if we can roll that clip, let's take a look at it.
when my son came back from Iraq in December of 2008. I hadn't seen him for several years because he'd been stationed in Iraq as an Army Ranger. And a lot of the operations he couldn't even talk to us about, so we didn't have communication a lot of times. But he came back in December and he came to visit with us and spent a day with us, and went back to South Carolina. And my birthday was January 25th, which was a month later. Coming home from my birthday party, some friends had a birthday party about 9 p.m. The phone rang and it was my ex-wife, Rebecca, who told me that sorry. Tomorrow would have been his birthday. He would have been 25. Anyway, she called me at 9 o'clock and said, Matthew had took his life. He had shot himself and he was gone, and we were going to make him an organ donor. So we headed to South Carolina. My birthday was that day. My ex-wife's birthday was January 29th, 4 days later. And she said that I wouldn't shoulder that alone, so we buried Matthew on her birthday. And I came home with his flag and his watch and his pocket knife. And some great memories. But after that day, I really didn't care much about life or what happened to me. So I started eating an easy way to go. I didn't have the courage to take my own life, and I thank God for that now. He guided me. But I just gave up. I started putting on pound after pound, started becoming bitter and angry, and started losing my friends and not taking care of myself like I should. Went in the hospital the first time, and a month later, I guess, after Matthew died, and they diagnosed me with sarcosubo myocardiopathy. In layman's terms, that's broken heart disease. The bottom chambers of my heart had completely quit functioning, and only the top part of my heart was beating. And I really didn't care. In and out of the hospital, my legs were so swollen that they were leaking fluid. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't take care of myself like I should. I'd basically given up. I went to the hospital in November or December for just a short stay, and they prescribed an electric wheelchair for me. And I said, no, I'm just not ready for that right now. I could get around if I just maybe had a walker with a seat. And I remember coming home that day with a walker. And I remember my wife crying. Because I had come so far. You see, many moons ago, I was a martial artist and a fighter. And I could fight toe-to-toe with the best. She saw me just give up. So I came in January and I joined the Y. And I guess it was a short time right after that I went back in the hospital. I guess it was in February I went back in the hospital. And my doctor, in the room with my wife and my brother-in-law and friends, said, you're almost there. You're almost with your son. He says, as a matter of fact, I'm not even going to schedule a follow-up visit with you because there's nothing I can do. There's no pill. And I looked over at my wife and she was crying again. And that teardrop, when it hit the floor in that hospital room, I heard it. I prayed. I said, God, I need to do something.